Haryana police claims that it has started the process to cancel passports and visas of protesters. They've called them vandals or rowdies while speaking to the media, alleging they were involved in violence and vandalism during the farmers' protest recently in Haryana. The Haryana police, in fact, has released these photographs. Police claim these men have been identified with CCTV and drone cameras and have been involved in violence. Who are these people, though? We don't know. Police has not disclosed this yet. However, they claim these protesters came to Haryana from Punjab in the garb of farmer protests. Opposition has targeted the Haryana government over this move. Manish Tiwari has claimed that this is a first and another low by a fascist state. Bashir Ahmed of NC has said that BJP is trying to suppress the voice of the farmers. Let's listen in to what the police has said, followed by what the opposition is claiming.
देखो, आपके माध्यम से बताना चाह रहा हूं कि पंजाब से हरियाणा की तरफ आने वाले किसान आंदोलन में जो भी उपद्रवी हैं, जो भी इस आंदोलन में हरियाणा की तरफ बढ़कर बैरिकेड तोड़ना या और किसी तरीके का उपद्रव मचाना, ऐसे लोगों को हम लोगों ने आइडेंटिफाई किया हमारे सीसीटीवी कैमरों से और हमारे ड्रोन के कैमरों से, और जो हमने वीडियो बनाई है उससे भी हम लोगों ने आइडेंटिफाई करके उन लोगों के खिलाफ हम लोग हमारे मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ पासपोर्ट ऑफिस और एम्बेसी में हम लोग उनके वीज़ा और पासपोर्ट जो है उनको रद्द करने के लिए हमने अभी हम जो आदेश है वो हम पारित करने वाले हैं। बिल्कुल, हम लोगों ने बहुत सारी ऐसी फोटोग्राफ्स हम लोगों ने ली हैं जिसमें जो ये लोग तोड़फोड़ कर रहे हैं और अलग अलग तरीके से उपद्रव मचा रहे हैं। उन लोगों के हम फोटोज़ और उनका पूरा एड्रेस, नाम वगैरह हम लोग पता करके पासपोर्ट ऑफिस और एम्बेसी में उनके खिलाफ उनका वीज़ा हो या पासपोर्ट हो उसको रद्द करने के लिए कार्रवाई कर रहे हैं।
देखिए, भारतीय जनता पार्टी और केंद्र सरकार जो है वो ब्रिटिश शासन से ये सब ले रही है। जब ब्रिटिश राज था हमारे देश में तो इसी तरह से लोगों को प्रताड़ित किया जाता था, उनको प्रताड़ित करना, उनको दिल्ली नहीं आने देना। क्या दिल्ली उनका नहीं है? क्यों दिल्ली आने से रोका जा रहा है?
एक और डिक्टेटराना फैसला आ गया है और बीजेपी का ये स्टाइल रहा है कि लोगों के जो जज्बात हैं उनको दबा रहे हैं। किसानों के साथ पहले भी एक खिलवाड़ हुआ था और जब 750 लोग मर गए थे उसके बाद 3 बिल वापस हुए थे। आज इनके साथ बात नहीं हो रही है और ये अजीब गरीब जो आज स्टेटमेंट हरियाणा गवर्नमेंट का है कंडेमेबल है, इसको कंडेम करना चाहिए और बिल्कुल इसकी मुखालफत करनी चाहिए। थैंक यू।
So even before I proceed to try and understand the different aspects of this issue, one question that really comes to everybody's mind is, from Jammu all the way till Kanyakumari, Jammu and Kashmir all the way to Kanyakumari, from the east to the west, there are politicians who also protest. And there are politicians who are nothing short of hooligans as well. I'm not doing a blanket comparison here, but I'm just saying they also break barricades, they also destroy public property, they also jump over so many barricades and, you know, so many visuals that are famous across the country. Protests that keep happening. Why have we not had their passports cancelled, visas cancelled? I mean, what is this special category of privilege? Anyway, we'll come back to that. But if you are acting against one section of people, there has to be a reason to act against another section of people, unless there is another aspect linked to the act that you're taking, which is also something we'll try and understand, a question, and try to find answers. Now, coming back to this whole issue, so how does one draw the line between protests, incidental damage to property, vandalism, and targeted intimidation? Let's look first at what is the right of the police. Police cannot cancel passports and visas. What they can do is reach out to the passport issuing authority, that's the Ministry of External Affairs, state the grounds that they have found worrying, concerning. The ministry then can decide or take the action that's required. Or the police can, with a notice, take over the passports of the concerned people and move a court, stating the grounds and seeking directions for competent authorities to cancel the passports and visas. But the big question at this point is, why is the focus on revoking, cancelling passports and visas? Is there a foreign connect that has been established? Then the people need to know. Because if it's vandalism, it is your and my money that's been wasted. We need to know what is the foreign connect, if there is. As of now, the police has not said anything about this officially. Very closely connected to this, ladies and gentlemen, is also another issue. Acts or laws that are used against protesters. Bulldozers being used against homes of protesters or alleged violators. Depends upon which prism one is looking at it from. Remember, just this year in January, an 18-year-old youngster in Madhya Pradesh's Ujjain spent 151 days in judicial custody. His home was demolished, citing encroachment. He had allegedly spat on a religious procession, but came out of jail in January this year because the witness and complainant in this case refused to identify him. Homes bulldozed for torching a police station in Assam. Properties of alleged suspects in Ram Navami violence razed in Madhya Pradesh's Khargone in 2022. From Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Haryana, these states have or are in the verge of passing laws that allow attaching properties or recovering losses for vandalism during protests. It's hard to say that this is a wrong move, because frankly, no one has a right for violence or vandalism, particularly to public property. But where does one draw the line? These are some very important aspects that we need to look into. I'm being joined right now by Sanjay Hegde, senior advocate, Nirmal Kaur, former IPS officer, Sardar VM Singh, Kisan leader, Pradeep Maur, BJP leader. Thank you very much, all four of you, for joining me. Let me just first go over to Sardar VM Singh. VM Singh जी, how do you look at, आप ये कैसे, इस पूरे इश्यू को आप कैसे देखते हैं? आपकी नजरों में जो पुलिस ये बोल रही है, और आपने पिक्चर्स भी देखे हैं कि उन्होंने कौन से पिक्चर्स रिलीज किए हैं. पुलिस बोल रही है पंजाब से लोग आ रहे हैं हरियाणा, वहां पे लूट मचा रहे हैं, तबाही मचा रहे हैं, दे आर क्रिएटिंग वैंडलिज्म, देयर इज इश्यूज ऑफ वैंडलिज्म, तोड़फोड़ कर रहे हैं, दे आर ब्रेकिंग बैरिकेड्स, और उनके अगेंस्ट अभी कार्रवाई कर रहे हैं, उनके पासपोर्ट्स और वीजा स्नैच किए जा रहे हैं. आप क्या कहते हैं? आपके लोग क्या कहते हैं? सरदार वीएम सिंह जी, आप हमें सुन सकते हैं?
हेलो, आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ जी, वीएम सिंह जी बताइए. हाँ जी, बिल्कुल. भानु प्रताप सिंह सर, आई एम सो सॉरी, देयर सीम्स टू बी सम मिस्टेक. भानु प्रताप जी बताइए, आप क्या बोलना चाहते हैं इसके बारे में?
ऐसा है, हम ये बोलना चाहते हैं, ये लोकतंत्र है. इस लोकतंत्र में सबका मौलिक अधिकार है. दूसरी बात यह है कि हमारे जो गलत काम है उसके लिए हमारा न्यायालय है. हमारा प्रदेश का न्यायालय होता है, हाई कोर्ट, फिर सब पूरे देश का सर्वोच्च न्यायालय है. न्यायालय की आदेश का पालन जो भी हो, प्रजातंत्र में हर व्यक्ति को, हर नेता को, हर राजनेता को, हर उद्योगपति को करना अति आवश्यक है. तो मेरा कहना ये है, ये जो पुलिस या माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी या माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ये अपने आप कोई दंड दें, वो गलत है, वो अनुचित है. उचित ये है कि वो न्यायालय में जाए और न्यायालय जो भी आदेश करे वो परमात्मा का आदेश मानकर, खुदा का आदेश मानकर, अल्लाह का आदेश मानकर सबको पालन करना चाहिए. सरकार कौन होती है? पुलिस कौन होती है? जजमेंट करने वाली. पुलिस को केस दायर करना, जो भी दायर करना है कर दे, फिर न्यायालय सुनेगा. न्यायालय जो भी निर्णय लेगा वो निर्णय मान्य होगा. और वैसे तो हम बतावे ना कि जो राजनीति में ज्यादा घुस गए हैं वो सब अहंकारी हो गए. लेकिन हमारा कहना है कि दया धर्म का मूल है. पाप मूल अभिमान, तुलसी दया न छोड़िए, जब लग घट में प्राण. जय
ठीक है,
जय श्री
ठीक है
राधे।
भानु प्रताप सिंह जी, मैं आपके
जी।
पास वापस आऊंगी. आई हैव मोर क्वेश्चंस. मैं बाकियों से भी जरा उत्तर ले लूं. निर्मल कौर, you know, there are issues here. Of course, vandalism no one can justify. But is there a difference now between police activism and justified counteraction? This
No,
is
this
not
is
a line that we usually see in most such cases.
this is not police activism. When
Mr.
you
Nirmal Kaur?
apply for a passport, always there is an investigation. There's some kind of an inquiry being done into your antecedents, into your character. Police verification is done, and only then you're cleared to be given a passport. So that cannot continue in eternity. If you're doing something unlawful or you've been doing something unlawful, you're not entitled to a passport. It is not your birthright to have a passport. You have to have a good law-abiding citizen kind of a character. Character verification is a very, very important part of getting a passport. Anyone who's got a passport will bear me out on that. So that character verification part is so important. And then if you're seen to be indulging in violence, you're seen to be indulging in vandalism, you're seen to be indulging in antisocial activities, or you're doing something like burning public property. How is it your birthright to burn public property or to vandalize it? I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know why they think it is their birthright. They can do anything and then take it to the courts. Courts are there. I mean, the law, whenever there's a violation of law, the first responsibility is that of the police. And here they are violating the law by vandalizing the public property. And if they vandalize it, they are entitled to have consequences, whatever the consequences are, lawful consequences of vandalizing things, or
Okay.
especially vandalizing public property.
Okay,
I
Sanjay.
mean, they should be made to pay
Right.
for it.
All right. Okay. Sanjay Hegde, you've heard what Nirmal Kaur is saying. She's saying police is the first line of action. They are doing, no one has the right to do what they are doing in terms of vandalism, in terms of breaking property. But Sanjay Hegde, there's also another aspect, and this is one of the things that I asked earlier as well. Not everybody is being treated on the same pedestal. Every day you have protesters, particularly politicians across the states, across the parties, who are jumping barricades, breaking barricades, destroying public property, stone pelting. We don't see such action against them. I haven't heard of passports being cancelled. I haven't.
Well, with due respect to Ms. Kaur, I think she's got the law absolutely wrong. There's a very famous case involving a now BJP MP called Menka Gandhi versus the Union of India. It was decided by the Supreme Court in the 1970s, shortly after the emergency. And the Supreme Court has held that it is only the passport authorities who can cancel passports for reasons stated in the Passports Act. The job of the police persons is policing the streets. If somebody is indulging in vandalism, they are free to arrest them. They're free to produce them before a court. They're free to take the due process of law against them, keep them in a lockup, get police remand and things like that. But it is certainly not one of the punishments prescribed in the Indian Penal Code that somebody's passport can be cancelled. Of course, if you think that any of the actions falls within the realm of the government's power to cancel a passport, then the government takes action, not the policeman. Otherwise, we will be living in a police state in India. You see, if you take this logic further, the next time that you catch some vandals, you may say, okay, we'll cut off their ration cards. We will not allow them to eat. That is going far beyond the remit of police powers.
One thing, Sanjay Hegde, even if what you are saying is, and what you are saying is correct, because even I explained the process of going about this, even for police officials, they don't have the direct right to cancel, but there are ways to go ahead and recommend for it or suggest or whatever their findings are, mention it before the government or the court. That being one. But my point is, even if they follow that process, this is not being followed in every process, in every protest. Why selectively do it in one particular case?
Well, police are entitled to take whatever steps they need to control a protest, but they're not entitled to go beyond the law. This is like saying that the police can very well order bulldozers at people's houses. It's not allowed in the law, but police do it nevertheless, or police are parties to it, or they get the government agency concerned to do it. So this is again one more instance of bulldozing the civil liberties of the Indian citizen and their fundamental rights. The Supreme Court long ago
I
said
need to get
that even if you have to cancel a passport, you have to give the person a hearing. The procedure has to be just, fair, and reasonable. You can't say, oh, look, I spotted you on a drone camera and off goes your passport. That's not how the law operates.
Okay. All right. Let me just get in Pradeep Mahawar. Pradeep, how do you justify this? This is, I mean, none of us here, not even me, I'm sure even Sanjay Hegde, who said all this, is not going to support vandalism. None of us, I mean, Sanjay Hegde, you could nod yes or a no. None of us are going to support damaging public property. Pradeep Mahawar, but selective action, something that is not uniform across the country and definitely different standards for different citizens. Why this sudden action? Why suddenly drag everything to passports? Before you reach a passport and visa, there are so many other aspects and lines that can be curtailed. Why passport and visa? Is there some foreign connect that we don't know of?
Look, first of all, since beginning, I have been saying this, that this protest, so-called protest, is basically politically motivated first and internationally supported. And there are many evidences where we have found that people who are participating in this protest, they are not actually farmers. They are the representatives of either some party, or they are the people who are residing out of India, and they have come just for the protest. Understand? If somebody is coming, somebody is residing out of India and working there, and just because of the protest, he's coming back to India to participate. Ultimately, we can't call him a Kisan. He will not be a Kisan. So he is a person who has come because of some reason. He has brought in his own self. Second, he has brought in money with him, and these type of events, or these type of I'll call it an event. Basically, it is not basically a protest. It is an event which has been purchased and financed by some people who want an unrest in our country, and this has to be dealt in that manner. Understand one thing. Now, when the police is saying that their actions are going to be taken,
what proof do you have? Can you show? Can you reflect any proof to us and on the show that you had people from abroad who came only for this purpose? Do you have proof?
So now the proofs will be there. Why people are worried when police is talking about the passport? The point is this: if they are worried, that shows that they are holding a valid passport first. Second, they are holding a valid visa for some other country. That is why they are worried that if their visa is going to be cancelled, that is going to be a big action on them. So ultimately, it's the responsibility of the government, and it's the powers of the government to hit these people, these so-called artificial andolan kind of a thing, to hit them where they actually are wounded. So this is what is happening, right? This is not a Kisan Andolan altogether. This is something that has been artificially created. So it has to be dealt in a different manner, and that is being done.
Pradeep Mahawar, to what you have said, I mean, I have to go to the other panelists to get the response to what you're saying. But before I get Bhanu Pratap Singh back, Pradeep Mahawar, those who are living abroad, just by shouting Bharat Mata Ki Jai, or just by doing grand welcomes for people from any political party, don't prove their nationalism. And definitely those who may be abroad may still be farmers in context to their families. Now, I am not justifying vandalism. Nobody has a right to waste my money and my viewers' money that is going as taxpayers. But to say that because they have come from abroad, they cease to be farmers, I think is an overstretch. However, let me get in Bhanu Pratap Singh at this point. Bhanu Pratap ji, आपने सुना प्रदीप मावर क्या बोले? उन्होंने बोला है कि ये एक पॉलिटिकल प्रोटेस्ट है. बाहर से लोग आ रहे हैं सिर्फ प्रोटेस्ट करने के लिए, पैसा लेके आ रहे हैं, तोड़फोड़ कर रहे हैं और इसीलिए उनको डर है कि उनका पासपोर्ट और उनका वीजा कैंसिल किया जाएगा। भानु प्रताप जी,
I think you.
भानु प्रताप जी, आप सुन सकते हैं मुझे? भानु प्रताप जी, आप सुन
हेलो?
सकते हैं मुझे?
हाँ, सुन रहा हूँ।
हाँ जी, भानु प्रताप जी, आप सुने क्या प्रदीप मावर जी बोले? बताइए, जवाब दीजिए, आप क्या बोलते हैं इनके लिए?
मैं ये कहना चाह रहा हूं कि वो पैसे लेके आए हैं, क्या करके आए हैं, लेकिन गलती किन की रही इस मामले में? जो आंदोलनकारी हैं उनके लिए तो कहा जा रहा है, गलती किन की रही? आंदोलन को उग्र रूप देने में मैं कह रहा हूं चलो इनकी कमी है, लेकिन एक कमी भारत सरकार की भी है। क्या कमी है वो कमी ये है कि ये लोकतंत्र है, इसमें हम सब मतदाता वोट देकर अपनी सरकार बनाते हैं, लेकिन यदि किसी काम से हम असंतुष्ट हैं तो सरकार के खिलाफ आंदोलन, धरना, प्रदर्शन शांतिपूर्वक करने का हमारा मौलिक अधिकार बनता है। और उस
भानु प्रताप जी,
मौलिक अधिकार
शांत
को
रूप से करना आपका मौलिक अधिकार बनता है, लेकिन आप मानते हैं कि आपके तरफ से जो प्रोटेस्ट हुए हैं, जो फार्मर्स की तरफ से प्रोटेस्ट हुए हैं, उसमें आम जनता का जो पैसा लगा के चीजें बनता है, जो बैरिकेड्स है, जो पब्लिक प्रॉपर्टी है, उनका नाश किया गया है, उनको डिस्ट्रॉय किया गया है, क्या वो शांतिपूर्ण प्रोटेस्ट का भाग बनता है?
मैडम, एक मिनट, शांतिपूर्वक दिल्ली में जाना और दिल्ली में रामलीला मैदान में बैठ जाना, ये करने दिया जाता, रोक न लगाई जाती तो मेरा जहां तक मानना है ये संघर्ष नहीं बनता। जिस संघर्ष के पीछे अब पासपोर्ट रद्द किए जा रहे हैं, ये रद्द किया जा रहा है, उनको जेल में डाल दिया जाएगा, उनके ऊपर मुकदमे लगा दिए जाएंगे। अरे ये दिल्ली में जाने वालों को रोक क्यों लेते हैं? पहले झगड़ा कहां से बनता है? झगड़ा बनता है एक व्यक्ति आंदोलन करने या प्रधानमंत्री से कहने या संसद पर कुछ कहने जा रहा है, आपके ऊपर हमला बोल है, शूट करवा दो, गोली चलवा दो, कुछ भी करो, कोई आपको बुरा नहीं बताएगा। लेकिन जब बॉर्डरों के ऊपर तुम बैरिकेड लगा देते हो, कीलें गाड़ देते हो, दिल्ली में आना जाना अस्त व्यस्त करते हो तुम, इसीलिए पब्लिक को परेशानी होती है।
ठीक है,
यदि जाते चले जाते, कहां जाते? आसमान में उड़ जाते या संसद पर चढ़ जाते? जाते रामलीला मैदान में, आराम से बैठ जाते, उनसे बात करते, समस्या का समाधान हो जाता, न झगड़ा होता, न लड़ाई होती, न कोई मरता, न कोई मारता, न कोई टंटा, न झंटा, कुछ नहीं होता, कुछ नहीं होता। और न अब पासपोर्ट करेंगे बंद, ये फलाना ढिमाका, ये भी नहीं चलता। तो कमी यदि इनकी है, सबसे पहले कमी केंद्र सरकार की भी है। आप मानिए इस बात को, मेरी उम्र 72 साल है, मैंने सब कुछ देखा है। मैंने चौधरी महंत सिंह टिकैत के साथ 4-4 लाख 5-5 लाख के आंदोलन देखे। कोई कहता है उनको तो भगा देते थे, नहीं, चुपचाप वोट क्लब पे गए, लाल किले पे गए और रामलीला मैदान में। जब हम महीने 2 महीने 4 महीने
आप बोल रहे हैं और आपकी बात सुनी जा रही है, आपकी बात सुनी जा रही है। मैं जरा निर्मल कौर के पास जाती हूँ। निर्मल कौर, you've heard the farmers speak, you've also heard Sanjay Hegde speak, but I also have to ask you this question now, and I'm just broadening this whole ambit. We're seeing a kind of a pattern that is emerging over the last few years, where bulldozers are being used. I mean, you had the incident in Assam, where there was arson, police stations were set on fire. Not acceptable, condemnable. But what are you going to get by raising down the houses of the accused? I mean, you're not getting the financial benefits out of that. I'm not sure what one gets. Then you have
there is a
several other instances, and I mentioned about how in Madhya Pradesh you had another incident. So this bulldozer action, again, there is no law for this as such. If you look at it, there's no law. So, either in one pretext or the other, it is either for an illegal construction or something. You have laws now that are coming up in states like Uttar Pradesh, even Uttarakhand, even in Haryana for that matter. And frankly, I mean, if there is damage to public property, you have to pay for it. Why should no one pay for it if you have vandalized, if you have destroyed public property? But how do you then draw the line of this being misused in cases where it's innocent or proved innocent later, like in Madhya Pradesh? After the house was raised.
This is not true. This is not true that it is police high-handedness. Police will follow the due process of law. So far as you mentioned the bulldozers in Uttar Pradesh and all, see, so many people have gone to the courts against bulldozer action. Has the court upheld a single one? No. The paperwork is complete. Whatever are the charges for bulldozing or for raising the building down are there. They have been served legal notices. They have failed to come up with a reasonable this thing. Either they have constructed property on public land, or they have encroached upon public land, or something or the other. So due process, police will always follow. Police will not unilaterally just arbitrarily cancel anything or bulldoze anything. They will follow the due process of law. And there are so many provisions within the law which stand, unused. So just to make use of those provisions which are there, to properly use them after following the due process of law, I think it is well within the police rights, and police can do it. And somebody is working and living abroad, wahan kama kha raha hai, how is he a farmer in India and joining the protests? That is not, I mean, by definition, he is not Indian farmer. Nobody will take him to be an Indian farmer. He's come here just for the process of creating mischief. Either he's misled or misguided, or just the leader, or he's come with a toolkit. Now, we don't know what is happening. I mean, just last year or some time ago, these farmers were at the border demanding something. And the Prime Minister, in all humility, withdrew all the 3 laws which were in farmers' favor. Had they taken those 3 laws, this MSP would have become redundant. This would have become redundant. MSP wouldn't even be needed. Now they want MSP for 23 products, 23 categories of crops, which is not fair.
You're talking about 3 laws, then I have to come and interject about that. I have to get the farmers on that. So I'm not going down that way. There were serious objections to what was there, and otherwise Prime Minister would not have withdrawn it if there were no contention. So let's not go that road, ma'am. It's going to be difficult to then have any conversation around this, because then we'll have to counter what you are saying on that ground. So let's not go into that at all at this point. The point is there were protests, and by the way, those protests also did turn very violent, and we saw what happened, how it happened, and why it happened. And you can't really say it was only the farmers to blame in that. It was very, very clear visually. But
you cannot have this. You cannot have this ki chit bhi meri, pat bhi meri. You don't want those laws which will make as you will get prices much more than what the MSP is. You rejected those laws, and today you are clamoring, you are getting violent to legalize MSPs. That is what their main demand is, to walk out of WTO. We have so many international commitments. How can we walk out of them? The trade agreements and all. The farmers want to dictate the foreign policy, the geopolitical kind of, whatever our position is in the world. That cannot be done overnight just because they are angry. They are behaving like a child, who's angry.
No, now you're going in a totally different ambit. We are sticking very closely to what vandalism is, and no one is justifying that. We're talking about the laws around it. We're not talking on the demands of farmers at this point, because then I have to get voices accordingly. So I'm not going to go that road at all with you at this point, ma'am. But Sanjay Hegde, if I can get you, you heard what Nirmal Kaur has said. You heard Nirmal Kaur speak that, listen, police is acting in accordance to what they are doing, what they need to do. This is not police activism or not police excess. But my concern really is, and not my concern, these are instances that have been seen. Again, how do you draw the line between an act of vandalism that definitely should not be encouraged, needs to be put down in its place, and possibly accounted for, fair enough, but accounted for how? How do you get the benefits out of it that need to come, the financial gains that you need to get out of it? How do you do it? Is the bulldozer the way? I'm not saying that's happening everywhere. But then Where does one draw the line with these laws that are coming in, with these actions and decisions that are taken?
Most of the actions and decisions that Ms. Kaur seems to be advocating seem to be going beyond the law. The police have no powers beyond the Police Act, and punishments can be only in accordance with the Indian Penal Code. Now, if you show somebody throwing a stone, then that is rioting. Prosecute the person for rioting. You cannot take collective action, nor can you threaten it. Now, when you say that you are cancelling passports, that obviously implies that these people are Indian citizens. You can only cancel Indian passports. You can't cancel a Canadian passport. You can't cancel a US passport. So these are Indian citizens who happen to be in India at that point of time, and they have certain grievances, or their families have some grievances. They certainly have the right to protest. Now, if you mishandle protests, and as the farmer leader was saying, that if you put up nails outside Delhi, you put up huge barricades and you prevent people from coming to Delhi. Now, this is something that we've all seen before. It was the stopping of Sikhs who wanted to protest during the Asiad Games of 1982, which then led to the conflagrations of 1984. Ms. Kaur may well think about how bad policing then leads to conflict situations getting out of hand. Each of these individual vandals, stone throwers, pelters, please proceed under the laws. You have enough powers. Do not go beyond the law. You cannot threaten people that we will cancel your passports. If the government is minded to cancel its passport, you can always ask the government, please cancel so-and-so passport for XYZ reason. That person has to then be given a notice, and it's a separate proceeding. It doesn't come within the ambit of police powers.
Right. All right. Sanjay Hegde, that was Sanjay Hegde explaining. But Pradeep Mahar, do you want to make the last concluding remarks before we close the show? You've heard what Sanjay Hegde has said. You've also heard what the farmers have said. You've heard what the IPS officer has said. Major questions being raised here at this point. Again, I don't want to go into the intent of what these protests were, demands of what these protests are. We are sticking essentially to the laws, the steps that are being taken with passports. Please go ahead.
Right. I heard Sanjay Hegde, and I heard the police official also. He was just saying that we will exercise everything within the law. Well, police cannot cancel the passport, definitely. They will take the photographs, whatever the cameras or drone cameras that are available, and they are going to report this to the concerned authorities of passport, right? So that the action can be taken against these people. And this is what the police is going to do. This is very much under the police control. So there might be so many cases.
Fair enough, but why in this particular case alone, sir, Pradeep sir, is this politically motivated? You're saying protests are politically motivated. This decision and action, is this politically motivated? As Manish Tiwari and others from the opposition are saying, they're calling you a fascist state.
Look, one thing is very clear. We have heard the slogans of Khalistan Jindabad. We have seen many, there are many protesters who have been caught who were sympathizers of Khalistan type of a philosophy. Why people are coming only from one state? Why not Madhya Pradesh? Why not Uttar Pradesh? Why not Kerala? Why not Karnataka? Why not any Maharashtra? So farmers of all the other states are happy except one state. So there has to be something. There is something that is cooking up, and somebody is trying to disrupt the peace and harmony of the capital. Ultimately, people who are living in the capital, they also have a right to move on the roads. If you are bringing tractors, peaceful protests. The peaceful protests are not like this. You are bringing tractors, you are bringing JCB, you are bringing this modified tractors.
Can be very peaceful. You've had politicians who have been on tractors and auto rickshaws, sir. There have been protests, political protests with tractors, sir. Very peaceful.
So if policeman,
what's wrong with
if policeman
tractors?
Is having a gun in hand,
if they're allowed to do it with decorum.
Wait. If policeman is having a gun in hand, so you will again have a gun in hand and start firing on the policeman. This is not allowed. Policeman is having a gun in hand because
Okay.
he is
All
there
right.
for your protection.
Okay. Okay. Well, we are totally out of time. Thank you very much, Sanjay Hegde, Nirmal Kaur, Bhanu Pratap Singh ji, as well as Pradeep Maur for joining us, bringing in different perspectives. This is an Indian democracy. We are proud of being a democratic country, and it's very important to closely follow the steps that are being taken across the state to try and understand the context in which this is being implemented and the reasons behind it all. Thank you very much for joining us. Time for a short break.